Alright, what's up guys? What's up? This is the midweek update here for January 12th. And if you're seeing all that camera equipment behind me, that's because the content team from Simpler came out here today and we recorded some content. But we'll get jumping in here. So if you look at your QQQ, the big question right now is, right, because you had a lot of volatility, a lot of that around, the Fed minutes from last week. So I think the big question right now for QQQ, and pretty much big tech, is it a buy the dip market like it's been for the last 2 years, or is it a sell the rip kind of market? So if you look at the Qs here, you get the big flush into -3 ATR, and you're bouncing back up towards that ever so slightly falling 21 EMA. And if you check out Microsoft here, pretty much the same thing. So Microsoft flushes to -3, that's bouncing back towards 21. Facebook is at its 21, and the big Google here, that flushes and that bounces back to the falling 21 EMA as well. So the big question is, do the QQQs and company, can the Qs get a couple closes here back above the 21 EMA, which at that point, it does open the door for a nice push towards the upside. Now, if we can't get back above the 21, just take note you have lost, your stacked EMAs. So your daily chart has lost structure. Momentum is pointing to the downside here, and John, JC as they call him, made a pretty interesting observation in the options room yesterday. And the observation is this big whopping mofo of a monthly squeeze that pretty much fires back here, June, July of 2020. That monthly squeeze is kind of coming to an end here. Where if you look at the histogram for 3 months in a row now, we're starting to lose a little bit of momentum. Now, it's still an uptrend. It still has good structure, but this is important because if you think about a lot of what worked over the last 2 years, keep in mind so much of that has to do with the fact that you just got kind of batshit crazy momentum here from your monthly squeeze. So what works when a monthly squeeze is firing to the upside might not potentially work as well when your monthly squeeze loses a little bit of steam. So at least keep that in mind here. But in the short term, if you can't get back above the 21 EMA, it does open the door for a bit more downside here. So keep a close eye on the Qs from that perspective. We'll take a look at Apple in a second because pretty much it's the only good-looking chart in big tech. And if you look at the small caps here, they're kind of bouncing today and getting rejected at the 21 EMA as well. So we got a short position there on the small caps. But now if you look at your S&P 500, this is perfectly fine. So structure here is perfect. And, one thing Chandler wanted me to point out was your weekly 21 EMA, Old Faithful here, it just holds up as rock solid support. So your QQQ from a weekly charts perspective, it breaks the 21. It's trying to get back above it, but it could easily end up back underneath it if you get rejected there at the daily mean. But your S&P, perfectly structured here. Really solid weekly squeeze. Not a bad looking daily. Now keep in mind, QQQ, just big tech stocks in general, they're so heavily weighted across the market that if your QQQ nosedives, it's basically going to drag everything with it, at least in the short term. Now, in terms of what we're looking at right now, this is a good structure. So this kind of leads me to believe that, getting long tech might not be the easiest trade right now, at least in the short term. Right? If you can get a close or two closes back above the 21, then we're back in business, baby. But the Qs, the big tech might be a little bit tough, but the S&P here with a good structure kind of, to me, suggests there's still good-looking setups out there. There's still good-looking trend in spots like energy, which just keeps pumping, the financials, which keep pumping. So there's still some good-looking trends out there. But more importantly, there's still some good-looking setups. So the first one I want to show you here is Apple. Now keep in mind, this is going to be tied to the hip with the QQQ. It's definitely a much better looking chart. So this is just about a perfect daily squeeze. Weekly and daily stacked EMAs, weekly and daily green 10x bars, and she's squeezing at the 21. So I want to get some Apple here. I want to get the options room into some Apple. I want to get the mastery into Apple. I want to get everybody into Apple. But what I'm going to wait for here is the Qs. Because if the Qs are getting your oversold bounce, right? So meow, dead cat bounce, and we flush again, down goes Apple. So if the Qs can regain a little bit of structure there to the daily chart, then I think Apple is fair game for a move back up into the highs. Good structure, and if you compare that again to Microsoft, to Google, to Amazon, to Facebook, Apple is the last man standing here as far as good structure in big tech. Another name I want to show you here is Qualcomm. Now, Qualcomm is a semiconductor stock. The semis, they're going to be a bit more impacted, by the QQQ as opposed to something like a Dollar Tree or an AutoZone, which we'll take a look at here in a second. So I'm kind of going to apply the same rules here to Qualcomm that I'm applying to Apple. If the Qs can hold up and get back above the 21, this is, between this and Apple, I think it's one of the better looking setups in the market. Weekly, daily stacked DMAs and green 10x bars. Good looking daily squeeze that prints a whole bunch of buy signals here. So depending on the QQQ playing ball here, I look for Qualcomm into 195-200. It's got the structure. The big question is, can it have a market behind it? So the Apples, the Qualcomms, the Teslas, and Tesla's shaping up pretty good here. Just a little bit more likely to follow, the overall indexes. Bit more specifically the QQQ. So at least keep that in mind. But in terms of some good-looking structure off the beaten path, there's a lot of that right now. So in my mastery, we're getting long D-Walk here on Monday, and we're flipping out on Tuesday for a nice just about 100% return on some calls there. You can see that keeps going higher today, but the point being, there's still good structure out there. So find a squeeze, get long at the 21, and I think in this market you take profits at 2 ATR. So I'm looking for a bit more of that. Another one we got yesterday is MP. Again, off the beaten path, but I'm all about it right now. Picture perfect setup. Doesn't mean it works. It just means in terms of a clean trade, you got a much higher probability here than something like Microsoft right now. So for MP, where's MP? If it came back to the 21, you could try to work an entry. Sorry guys, I had a coughing attack there. Almost passed away on camera. But for MP here, good stuff. If this pulls back to the 21 EMA, I think you could look for an entry. At this point, it's a little bit off to the races. So we're looking for a push here into about 52-ish, and then we'll take the money and run. But another good-looking setup here is SO, Southern Company. It's not exciting like a Tesla, but it's a good setup. So that's on the watch list here. Another one on the watch list is Marvel, which prints a good daily squeeze, some buy signals, some stacked DMAs and green 10x bars, and next up here is PSA. Very good setup. So tomorrow morning I'm going to look for I'll look for a little dip here. It's not that it's extended, but I got a class coming up about this, and a huge part of the class is structuring a good risk reward. And though it might not look like much, let's just talk credit spreads, for example. The difference between working a good risk reward with an entry at the 21 EMA versus an entry up here at +1 ATR, it doesn't look like a big difference, but trust me, it's a big difference. You get better risk reward, you have better wiggle room, the closer your entry is to the 21 EMA. So I'm trying to develop a habit here where, quite frankly, if I'm on my job, or if I'm doing my job, if I'm on my game, should have been getting long yesterday. Didn't sneak up on me, it's on the scan results here. So I look for a dip there in PSA. Next up is AutoZone. Damn good looking setup. So keep an eye on that for a push into about, wow, AutoZone's a $2,000 stock? No crap. That kind of surprises me for some reason. But looking for a move here into about 2100, 2120. So might try to grab some of that tomorrow. Market willing. Next up here is Dollar Tree. Great squeeze. It holds structure. You come in a little bit towards your 50, but gets picked up pretty good here. You got your buy signals, you got your green 10x bars. So we've already got a position here. I might look for a little bit more. However, we have next Friday's expiration, I believe, so we might do some rolling out here. Great looking setup. Next up is TER. Right, like I don't know what half this crap is, but I do know a good looking squeeze when I see one. So what I'm trying to do this year is just more opportunity. Okay? Doesn't have to be Apple, doesn't have to be Tesla, doesn't have to be Google. I'll trade them when they have a buy signal. Otherwise, I'm running the scans. I'm focusing on where the good setups are, and I'm focusing on the best entry. That way I can work the desired risk reward. But Teradyne here is pretty solid. Then you got names like LITE. I should have been long 3 or 4 days ago, so I'm not going to chase it here, but I would take a dip. And then next up here is Lucid. A little bit extended. So a lot of you know Sam from the options room. Good dude, smart dude. Him and I kind of go back and forth in the chat in terms of what the heck is looking good here. And I think him and I have both liked Lucid here over the last few days. Also in terms of that 30-day till expiration, I'm trying to catch that nice meaty move a little bit late on the entry. So one thing he did point out, this is actually nice stuff here, is a 15-minute squeeze here into the end of today's session. So these can be great for a nice continuation pop, which you probably can get here. If it happens to fire short and this comes back in towards a 21, I'll be looking for an entry. But that is what I got for you, my friends. There's still good setups out there. There's still good trend out there. There's actually still good momentum out there. At least for the time being, it's just not going to be in our favorite spots. And just again, keep in mind, I think JC brings up a great observation. Those names have been our favorite spots because of that monthly squeeze. So as that loses a little bit of steam, things potentially shift just as far as the opportunity set, and more specifically how you want to play the opportunity set. Things can shift a little bit there. If you look at the S&Ps here on a monthly chart, you're actually getting a little bit of the same exhaustion. So big picture perspective there versus the short-term perspective, which is S&P looks damn good. The QQQ, a little bit of a sketch ball here, so long as you keep trading under the 21 EMA. But that's what I got here, folks. In terms of my trades right now, we've got a long position on MP. We have got a long position in Dollar Tree. We took profits on DWAC yesterday, and we did get stopped out last week. Got stopped out of Amazon, got stopped out of AMD, and a few other things. But we're rocking and rolling and moving forward. So I hope you find this helpful. And let me know in the comments if you like any of these setups. If you think I'm missing something here, let me know down in the comments. But until next time, I'll talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your night and trade safe. What's up, traders? This is Taylor from Focus Trades here with SimplerTrading.com, and as always, I appreciate you watching our videos. If you happen to enjoy this one, go on ahead and like and comment down below, and if you're not already, make sure you go on ahead and subscribe and click that bell icon. That way, whenever Chandler and I upload a video, you'll get a notification once it's live. And if you want to watch us trade live with our own money Monday through Friday, you can check us out at SimplerTrading.com. See you in the next video.